Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast with no name and our Nailed It Challenge. I am Ebony,
And I am Paris.
and today we're going to be doing This Look Behind Paris or a version of it.
Yeah. So actually, she did like a natural makeup and the glam. We just gonna do one side of our face. It's hard enough for us to try to attempt one thing rather than two. So we just gonna go for the hard one and try this one here.
Right. So I'll do half of my face, just regular, nothing on it, and then I'll draw the box around it and put natural. And then I'll do the other side, and that'll be glam. And this is about as glam as it gets for me. So, huh?
So you gonna draw the box?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'm excited because if we're gonna do these colors, I get to use my new palette.
Ooh, that look good.
Ooh.
Open it. Let's see. Show the people. Oh, it disappeared. It disappeared.
What's that about? They were like, not all new colors. That's weird. They say you will not start today. Sorry. But
well,
I'm excited.
As you can see, I already have a fresh face, and I kind of like my purple. I don't even want to take it off, but
cheating.
I'll go ahead and take it off.
Ain't want to talk about cheating.
No, this was my face for today. Like, this is what I wore today, you know. So I'm going to wipe it clear.
You supposed to come here blank slate, because I was thinking about like, oh, I could just do my like foundation, since everyone do foundation real quick. But I was like, nah, I ain't gonna cheat.
I ain't cheating. I ain't starting yet. I'm taking all of this off, ma'am. This is from earlier today. This is my daytime look.
Look, now I want to record. Always something going on. Now people want to cut grass. Ain't been here all day.
That happened to me too, every single time. When I get up in the mornings and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to record. So I don't have to do it midday. I'm going to record at 8 a.m. So then like by midday, I can go and work out, or I can go do some work, or take care of what I got to take care of some business. But every single time I try to do it early, every single time, that's when for some reason I'm on the lawn or leaf blowing, or they start power washing. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Look, I just had this freaking spoolie, and now I lost it. This is how things work out. That's always how it happens.
What is the
you
spoolie?
See something down and it's lost, huh?
What is the spoolie?
The little thing for your eyebrows.
Okay.
The little eyebrow comb.
Oh.
I believe that's what it's called. But I just had it, and I just combed my eyebrows, and now it's gone. I dumped everything.
I have a topic.
Okay, what's your topic, Joey?
Why don't we do the things that we know we're supposed to do? And especially the things that we know will improve the quality of our lives. How come we don't do them?
Fear, laziness. But I think I think mostly like laziness. Like, I think most of us don't feel like doing the work. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't know, because it's like, I'm really amazed at like how many smoking commercials they have, and now vaping commercials, but people are still like smoking. And it's not like, oh, it's the older age who started a long time ago and they're going to trickle out. It's not like that. It's like new age, young kids, are getting on it. And it's just, well, all the commercials, smoking commercials, vaping commercials, like, how can you vape? Same thing with like the alcohol, so many people die from alcohol. It's like, you think about people as far as like don't drink water. It's people who literally never drink water. All they drink is soda.
Yeah, that used to be you.
No, I would drink water. I just had a Coke a day as in addition to the water. Like, it's people who never drink water.
When we were like 12, 14, 13, 14, something, used to be like, I don't drink water. It doesn't quench my thirst. And I was like, Ebony, it's the one thing in the world that does quench your thirst. They used to be like, nah, I don't drink water. It doesn't quench my thirst. But this is a long time ago when we were children.
I don't remember that. I remember always drinking water, but we know my memory. I'm gonna let you have that.
Also, I remember it because of the absurdity of it. Because I was just like, woman, I was like, it's the one thing in the world that will quench your thirst. And you're like, nah. I was like, okay.
But it's one thing when you're a child, but like after a certain age, it's like, how are you 18 or 25 or 35, and you don't drink any water or you don't have any fruits or vegetables or you don't go to the gym or you out there just like having sex unprotected. Like certain things just to me is just so interesting that they still exist in the age of, information.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I say this all the time when we have these conversations, and I realize because even especially as young people, we've done it too. You have that notion that you're the exception. Like, yeah, that happens to everybody else, but not me though. Because I'm gonna do it smarter. I'm gonna do it better. Like, I'm the exception. I'm the one person. Like, it's not gonna happen to.
But what about the old people? I mean, it ain't just a young person problem. You still got old people doing things that they know is not good for them, but they still do it.
Yeah, but I think also you have to like. I agree with that, but also there's like the psychology of that whole thing because we just had a conversation about like old people when you say something to them about like, hey, you could do this better, or it you could improve this. They're always like, look, I'm me and I'm this old and I ain't gonna change.
True.
And I think there has to be a willingness. Also, some of it has to do with like the education. Some of them just don't have the education about that stuff. You would think they do, but they don't. So I think that, but a lot of people like think about like, you know, most people, are dealing with like issues about their weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you gain weight, sometimes it literally feels like you woke up and it was just there.
Mm-hmm.
And you was like, yo, I was skinny. And the truth of the matter, like, that's not how it happened. It slowly packed on. But you want it to quickly go away, though.
Right.
You don't want to do the work. You don't want to go and, be in the gym 2-3 hours, 4, 5, 6 days a week, and changing your diet and stuff. Like, that stuff sucks. And it takes like a lot of like determination. One, to be like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do it, and to like stick with it.
I mean, see, for me, this is the way I kind of think about life. I told you my story about the dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, let me share the story for everybody else, just in case they don't know. Basically, there's a dog on the porch, and the man wants to know why the dog is moaning. And he finally gets the nerve to ask the farmer, like, what's wrong with your dog? Why is your dog moaning? Because he passed a couple of times, and each day the dog was moaning. And so he finally got the courage to ask, like, what's going on with your dog? And the farmers looked at him and said, well, he's laying on a nail. And so I kind of always think about that in life. It's like, yeah, these things may be hard. Of course. Yeah, like, yeah, it's hard to make those changes. But it should be harder to get up every single day off of a nail, go sleep, do whatever, and then wake up the very next day and get right back on a nail.
Right.
That's harder.
Right.
And it's going to leave you with a bunch of regrets. So I just don't understand it. It's like, why does hard even have to be a part of the discussion? Nothing that's worth having is easy anyway. So why, when it's like, oh, you should do these things to take care of yourself, so on and so forth, people go, oh, but that's hard. And it's like, when did hard enter this conversation? Why is it entering the conversation? So
Mm.
people do things based on whether it's easy or hard. Like, oh, I'm only going to do that because it's easy, or I'm not
Absolutely.
going.
People absolutely do that. You know, all the
Mm.
time people want the easy money. They want, you know, the easy come up. They want the easy solution. Like, we know that. We know that.
I
Um,
don't. I know it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
I think it's a very human thing of like what you want it now. I think it's very human.
Really? You trying to
Absolutely.
tell me I'm an alien?
Well, we've been through that, but you know, I think most people think about when you're hungry and you have a taste for something, like you want that thing and you want it now. And the truth of the matter is, like, if you don't get it, you get hangry. Like, legit, you be like a whole different person. You like a little mini demon person sometimes, just in like how irritable and stuff you feel.
I'm like that every time I'm hungry. That's the
And
one time you may get anything. If I'm hungry or sleepy, you don't know who you're gonna get.
right. And I'm just like, that's a basic body need, and we still want it instantaneous. You know what I'm saying? So you can get like the things you want out of greed, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I'm just saying the things you want outside of like the things that you need, and how you can feel the exact same way about those things.
Hmm. I mean, for me, I don't want it the easy way, just because. And again, I'm realizing that a lot of this is just me having information that maybe other people are not necessarily privy to. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, you're not going to have any self-esteem, or it won't be valuable to you when it's given to you easily. That's why people who hit the lottery within 4 years, they're broker than they was before they hit the lottery, because they, in their mind, they didn't earn it. And so they
Mm-hmm.
blow through the money so quickly, they don't think that they deserve to have it, and they just blow through it so quickly, and before you know it, they broke and worse off than they was before they even, had the money. And so
Right.
that's what really started me. I was just like, why is that? Like, why is that a thing? So I went, trying to understand that. And for me, it's just like, I don't, I don't understand it. I've done a lot of work, and while I can logically understand it,
Mm-hmm.
it just doesn't make sense to me.
That people want the easy route.
That okay, I guess for me, what is most important is feeling good and feeling good about myself. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I would never jeopardize feeling good about myself for a quick, easy anything. Because
Mm-hmm.
how you feel about yourself is long term, is something that you have to deal with forever. And so I personally, I just wouldn't play like that, just because I would rather be homeless and broke and loving myself and liking myself than rich and hating myself.
Right. I think also you got to like take into consideration. I think like when you say the thing about the lottery is that these people never had that kind of money, and so they don't even like, it's like everything's brand new to them. It's new opportunities, and they don't have like, I just had the word, but they don't even have like the real understanding or like, it's, I don't know a better word for it, but like respect for money that you need to have when you get that
Value, they don't
money.
cherish it.
Right. And so they're just kind of like blowing through it. Where if you're a person and you've been mindful when you get that kind of money, you're like, okay, cool. I don't need to buy all this stuff. Like, I'm rich now, but I want to continue to be rich.
Right.
Where some people get it and it's like, well, I'm rich now, and it's now or never. I want to live all the dreams and stuff. And like, absolutely, like if you can, if it's possible, I'm like, do it. But you know, and I think we had the conversation the other day, and you were like, oh, well, you know, I want to get it on my own or something. And I'm like, I'm like, cool, like I understand that. But if I had the resources to get the help, then I want to use my resources personally. But to me, I feel like for me, it's like in my age and my state, I know the value that I would have that I have those resources because I know most people do not.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand that. So it's not invaluable to me. It's not just another hand me down or something to me. It's a valuable resource that I personally would appreciate having. And so that's why, like, I was saying, like, I wouldn't feel away about receiving some help or getting something or sending it on to someone else. Also, too, like, I know it's a conversation of people being like, oh, I helped you do whatever. Like, I'm the type of person to be like, eh? I'm like, it's not to be funny to be like, oh, like I got here now or something. I'm like, yes, you did. I'm like, you might have helped me with this, but I'm like, the whole idea is mine. All the work done was mine. So what you gave me is like, absolutely. I've never discredited you for that and what you had. But all the work, all the into what was it called? Intellectual property, like all of that on whatever it became was because of me. Absolutely, I appreciate like your donation to like beginning of my business, whatever, but it couldn't been what it is now for you to come say something to me. If it wasn't for me, you could have kept your money and it would have just been sitting there, instead of me turn to something, and I'm assuming like, they would be an investor or something.
Hmm.
But
It
that's
reminds me. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Go ahead.
It just reminds me of like when I was reading Tiffany Haddish book, and she
Mm-hmm.
talked about like how she got her new money and she was still recycling dresses and wardrobe because she didn't want to go back to the. But obviously, we know her mindset. She has a very like um
Rich dad, poor dad.
yeah, she's kind of like more like her mindset is more like mine. So she was just like, oh, well, we don't really know her, but from what we see, and more like mine. And so she, didn't really care about those things. And she was talking about in the book like how Jada told her, like, oh, you can keep that money, which you could do by budgeting or whatever, or you could spend it to make more money. And
Mm-hmm.
I just always thought that was interesting because here's a difference between a person who got it, so late in their 30s and a person who, of course, then had it since, their 19, 20 years, like since they was
Mm-hmm.
19 and 20. And so it's just so interesting, just the idea behind it. Like it makes sense for you to say something like that because again, you've had it for such a long time and you had the opportunity to kind of invest and flip it and make it work for you. But a person who is new into it, which most people really normally just go crazy with the money, like, oh, I could just go buy whatever I want. And to see,
Mm-hmm.
her not necessarily do that and to think like, it's important for me to save it and to reinvest it. It's just what I really just, again, practicing prevention. We all know I'm a prevention person. I teach prevention. And so just the idea of like, oh, now I got this money, but I'm going to prevent myself from not having this money is my type of discussion or not losing this money. And it's just so interesting that people don't begin with the end in mind, don't reverse engineer what it is that, you know, because for instance, you go, oh, I want health. And you don't reverse engineer a plan to get to your optimum health, like
Yeah.
it's just many things that I just don't necessarily, even though I've done the research on it, I understand the triggers and everything going on in the brain and why certain people think this way and it just, to me, in my mindset, it don't make much sense.
I think also like what you were saying, that conversation between like Jada Pinkett and Tiffany Haddish of you kind of like establishing like the new money during the old money. It's also like the wiser thing of like, well, taking the advice too of like how I continue to have this money for so long because I definitely at 19 could have blew all that money. And like I think also too is that for most of us who have no financial literacy, investing sometimes feels like gambling. And the truth of the matter is, like, most of us are not going to win the lottery, and most of us are not going to make enough money to retire and this, and that, whatever. So the truth of the matter is, like, you really do have to like invest in yourself. You need to have like a 401k or a Roth IRA, or, you know, investing your money into, you know, stocks or bonds or whatever. Because the truth of the matter is, the way that the like our society is, you're not going to have enough money to retire, and most of us are not going to like live that really frugal lifestyle to save as much money as we want, you know, to have that money in the end to spend. And it's like, also, it's like, do you want to have to wait all the way to the end of your life before, you know, you get, you know, the money that you really want, you know, to do what you really want?
Well, you know how I feel about that too. I feel like a lot of times people put the cart before the horse and they get into situations before they financially ready for them. Like
Right.
I was telling you about a friend who, you know, just bought a house, and now, you know, his expectations is that his wife need to pay half of the bills, and it was like, oh, but you was paying everything, or, you know, that wasn't the main expectations when y'all was, you know, living in an apartment, but now you went and got a house and you need her money in order to run the household. So maybe the solution was, don't get a house before you're financially able to take care of it on your own, as opposed to just like, oh, I want to move to the next milestone. I want to feel like I progress. So I'm gonna put
Yeah.
myself in debt, you know, right now for something that I want, because I can't be patient enough to be able to, you know, wait long term to get it where it doesn't impact me. So many of the financial books that I read talk about the rich people. Well, I read a lot of books about, you know, riches and people who have riches, and it talks about like when they want something, they don't use their money to get it. Like, oh, I want a new car, so I'm gonna go and use my money to get it. They go, no, what type of hustle scheme product, something that I can do, you know, that can generate this money so that this particular thing pays off the car and I never have to worry about it. Or if I want this condo, what investment can I make so it pays off my condo every single month and it doesn't have to come out my funds? So I just think like a lot of us don't have financial education. We don't practice prevention, and we get into things before we really understand like what it is and the impact of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, like, I was recently talking to a friend, and they were expressing that their child was going to be graduating soon and was going to be an adult as well. I mean, of the age of an adult, 18, whatever. And that, you know, finally they wanted to get them a car, and they were like, oh, well, you know, like, I want to get them a Tesla. And I'm like, why? I'm like, you don't have a Tesla. Um, and they're like, yeah, but, you know, I want a car, you know, for them that's reliable, whatever. I was like, why you can't get a 1997 Toyota Corolla, like Honda Civic, like, you know, like a used car or whatever? And they were like, well, I want a car that's reliable or something. I'm like, oh, great. I'm like, to get a Prius. It's good on gas. They usually don't have a lot of issues, you know. And also, mind you, like, this is a child's first car. Like, they don't even have their license yet. They haven't been practicing driving anything. And so you're going to get them a $60,000 car. And I was just like, you know, but I've learned my lesson about, you know, soliciting advice to people in that manner that don't want it. So I was just like, you know, this is cool. Because by all means, I'm like, it's your prerogative to do what you want. But I was just like, I'm not interested in having a car payment ever again. If I can't just buy the car outright, if I haven't saved up for it, I'll ride a bike. Like,
And I don't like that, because what's going to happen is, and I feel like this is a lot of things that parents do, but they don't necessarily consider it on the other end. It's like, I don't like that, because most people get in car accidents, you know, within their first 10 years of driving. That's a part of the experience of learning. So if you go and
mm-hmm.
buy me this expensive car and I make a mistake and get in a car accident or scratch it up, you can't treat it regular, like, oh, okay, it's part of the learning experience. Now you having a whole you know,
Right.
you losing your brain, upset now, it done strained our relationship because this car was so expensive. How I'm gonna fix it? Da-da-da. You so irresponsible. You start saying things to the kid, make them feel bad for just learning when they could have just had a regular car. And it's like a lot of times parents put kids in these predicaments. They sign them up for things or put them in things that they don't really want to be in, or do things that is a flex for them. And when the
Right.
kid let them down because they just being a kid, then now all of a sudden, everything they hit the ceiling. You're such a horrible person. You're inconsiderate. You don't care about nothing. It's like, no, this is supposed to just be a learning experience. And you done turned it into something else by trying to flex to show that you can buy me this car, or because there's so many reliable cars, so many. Like, what we talking about? How do you go from, like, let's say it's 100 and Tesla, the 100th one. You skip over 1 through 99 to go and get the 100th. And then when the car is busted up or stolen or something happens, now it's the kid fault. And it's a strain on your relationship. And it's like, I really want people to start thinking, because even with the friend, I was like, so now y'all have a strain. Y'all just bought a new house, and y'all have a strain on your relationship because of finances. So the house was supposed to bring y'all more joy, but that's not what it's doing. Y'all
Right.
fighting, y'all arguing because you put the cart before the horse. You wanted to flex on Facebook. You wanted to show you progress. You made it. But now the very thing that you said you cherish is rocky because you couldn't wait. It was just this short term thinking, like, oh, well, I'm 39. I should have more by now. Let me make this move to go in. And it's like, I don't understand.
Right. And I think like that's the thing too. It's like it's the brainwashing and conditioning that we've had for so long that like, oh, by this age and you're supposed to have the house and the family and the 2.5 kids and whatever. And I'm like, that might have made sense in like 60s, 70s, 80s. The way things are now, like it's hard to be an adult and not have a roommate, let alone
Amen.
like have a family you're gonna take care of, and and a house with a mortgage, and the new top of the line car and stuff. That's just not realistic anymore. And I think like a lot of people, they just have to get over like that concept. A lot of them don't have a choice, to be honest, but it's still subconsciously it's still there, like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this and I'm supposed to be here by now or something. I'm like, you don't have to be anywhere. Like, you don't have to be the person like, I bought my parents a house by 25. Like, nah, like still live in your parents' house at 25. Save your money. I'm sure your parents appreciate the help too in this time.
Right. Right.
On as
But
well.
again, people, they need to look a certain way. They need to put something on Facebook, Instagram, and they gotta look a certain way.
Right. Like we know a person who is on Instagram like flexing. And
I know many people like that, but
yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
and you're like, oh, okay, like everybody else is like, man, like dope, like doing this, young life, single life out here, getting it, this and that, whatever. And yeah, I don't even know. I'm like, yo, that person was on the verge of being evicted from that very nice home that's in all these backgrounds. Like, they can't afford that place. They about to get kicked out. Like,
and people stressing themselves out, dying, working 80-hour weeks just to try to make that. And it's like, I don't understand why, but why? Like, do you really need that? And then when you get it, you only happy for 3-4 days and you back out there grinding again. Is it worth it? Is it
so
worth it?
for you to be jet setting and doing all this stuff, and I understand like wanting to like to get out and experience things, but I'm like, you went on that trip to wherever instead of paying your rent. So you had a great time in another country, and now you home, scraping and scrounging, robbing Peter to pay Paul, asking for help, whatever. because you used all your rent money, go, on a girls trip. And, you wanted to make sure you had a good time. So, you was trying everything and buying everything, whatever. And I was like, okay. Okay. But, I only I know probably sound really judgmental of people and stuff. And I also think there's people who understand it too. But it's just the manner of discernment that some people have could be better. And also it's understanding of this world and how it is right now and just needing to get away and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's understandable too, but it's at what cost? You're already on the hamster wheel and then you just threw rocks in your path or whatever.
Well, I don't feel like it's judgmental what you do involves other people where you have to start calling around looking for money to pay your rent, then now I can have an opinion if you call me.
True.
Now, again, the problem is when people do these things, it don't just affect them. Because the friend that I'm talking about, you saying all that, but then now when I talk to you, and I hadn't talked to you in a long time, our conversation is occupied with this.
Mm-hmm.
So you're having this conversation with your wife, and then when you hadn't talked to your friend you haven't talked to in a long time, I got to hear about this. So that's what I'm saying. This is a shared experience, and unfortunately, there aren't many isolated decisions in this shared experience.
Mm. Yeah. I think people don't realize that. Is that some people call it trauma dumping, and I don't think it's that, because I think you should be able to talk to your friends about what you're going through. But also, people don't realize that when you, exactly what you're saying, sharing with your friend what you're going through, you're now creating a shared experience with that person.
Mm-hmm.
As well, because now I'm in on, your business and your life that I wasn't in on before.
And I manage my problems just fine without, talking to a person that I haven't spoken to in a long time and then letting that occupy our conversation.
Right.
It's so consuming in your mind that you would talk to a person you hadn't talked to in a long time about something and you know how I feel about marriage. That's very sacred, it's intimate, and nobody should be in that. It should be you and the person you married to. So I haven't spoken to you in a long time, and when I speak to you, you talking to me about something that is sacred.
Mm-hmm.
And you occupy our time talking about something that is sacred. And it's this is what I mean. This is what I mean. You shouldn't have did it. You weren't ready, bruh. You weren't ready.
Right.
If you can't do it without controlling what somebody else need to do, then you're not ready for it. If you need to control what he, her, whoever need to do with their finances in order to accomplish your goals, then you shouldn't have did it. Should have did it.
Right.
You
And
wasn't ready.
I think there's, nothing wrong with asking your wife to contribute, but if that's not how the dynamic was from the beginning, and now you change something and you're like, well, now I need you to do your money, and go, that's not our dynamic. That's not what I agreed to. I mean, y'all already had a dynamic before y'all got married. Now you change it. You're like, my husband's being, oh, I understand, if it's something that oh man, jobs was lost, and during the pandemic and stuff, and being like, hey, I really need you to help out. Cool. If we go, hey, I bought this new Corvette, and the car payment and insurance is really high, so I'm gonna need you to do something. No.
Right.
If it wasn't already in your scope of things, don't go buy something, exactly what you're saying, because you're like, oh, well, this person will help me take care of this.
Right. And especially when you don't need it, a house, especially they had kids that's on their way out the house. Your kids on the way out, what you need a house for?
Mm, I be like, my husband went and bought a house. He's like, well, I need you to start working. No, sir.
That's what
No,
I'm
sir.
saying. I can see if you needed it because y'all had a whole house full of children, y'all kids on the way out. What y'all was living, a townhouse or apartment living. Why can't you continue to do that until your kids move out? Why make more bills on y'all, stress y'all out, put y'all relationship, strain y'all relationship, I should say, and you didn't have to do that.
Right. Right. But again, that's part of that like financial literacy that people don't really have.
And see, listen, this is how you know people should check. This is how you know if you're doing it for somebody else. If the soon as you accomplish your goal or your dream, and the first thing you want to do is go share it on social media, it wasn't about you. You doing it to flex for other people. You think I'm gonna get me a house and the very next day or the next month or so on, like even in the next couple of months that I'm about to show people my house? I don't understand that. Or a car or any like I just don't understand that type of thinking. I'm not about to do that. What I get is for me. It's not for nobody else, and nobody else even gotta know I have it.
I think some
Yeah.
people just like to like,
Floss. Flex.
yeah, probably. Yeah, I guess so. Cause I'm like sometimes like maybe it's to share your blessings, but I'm like, no, it's probably definitely like, and it's not like I don't think it's like purposeful or something like that.
It's boastful.
I think it's subconscious. I don't think like usually it's on purpose.
No, I do believe you can share your victories with your family, but like I'm talking about on social media. There's people
Oh,
out
just
there that don't know where their next meal coming from, and you want to brag about the new car you got, the new house, the new bag, the new shoes. Like, why? You can send that to your group chat, to the friends, the people you actually know. Why do you have to put that out in the world? Especially where I'm coming from, they're stick up kids. Why you gonna let people know what you got for them to come and stick you up? That don't even like that flashy pastor who just got robbed during service. You did that to yourself, sir. Like, why would anybody ever need to know what you got and how much of it you got so they can set you up? That's so stupid. Where I'm from, you just don't floss. Listen, I laugh every time I'm driving. Oh, we got less than 1 minute. We may have to restart. There's less than 1 minute.
yeah.
I laugh every
It'll be the
time.
same.
Okay.
You laugh every time. What?
What we was just talking about? I forgot.
Oh, the flossy pastor and stick up kids.
Oh, I laugh every time I'm driving down the road and I see one of those cars with the stickers on the back and to tell you how many people in the family. I'd be like, you dumb as hell. If I was a robber, I would just case your house. Once I count everybody that's on your car out the house, then I know it's a go. Why would you set yourself up like that? And again, I'm from Baltimore. I'm not like, it's not that I'm a street person, but when you from Baltimore, you learn street law. And it's like, I don't understand how people just be so reckless out here. You gonna tell people who live in your house?
Right.